The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, O Lord.
The shepherds went in haste to Bethlehem and found Mary and Joseph and the infant lying in a manger. When they saw this, they made known the message that had been told them about this child. All who heard it were amazed by what had been told them by the shepherds. And Mary kept all these things, reflecting on them in her heart. Then the shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they have heard and seen, just as it has been told to them. When 8 days were completed for his circumcision, he was named Jesus, the name given him by the angel before he was conceived in the womb. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
My brothers and sisters, earlier when I got in the car, I asked Yung, one of the altar servers who does a favor for me every Sunday to drive me here, what would you like to hear in the homily? He said, well, today is the New Year. You talk something about New Year. And today is the feast of Blessed Virgin Mary, Mother of God. Maybe you speak a little bit about Mary. And then without waiting for me to respond, he said, oh, and Pope Benedict just passed away. Maybe you talk about the Pope. There's people comes, it's very popular that people come to the church and wants to hear what they want to listen. It's very difficult. It's very difficult because how can a presider standing here before 800 people sitting there to know each individual's interests to share with you? If you went to the midnight party last night with the fireworks, the city packed with people. I didn't go, but I read on the news. I noticed this. When all people look at one point, regardless of rich or poor, young or old, they all share what they could see. What they could see last night was the light of the fireworks. The image that the fireworks could have presented, and the sounds of the fireworks and the crowd, yelling, screaming, and you could smell the smoke of the fireworks and the smell of the one who's sitting in front of you or standing next to you. I'm saying that because I was wondering if any of you have been wondering that I did not say Happy New Year to you at the beginning, of which people often say to one another when we meet one another at the beginning of the year. My question is, how can a year be happy? How can you feel the year 2022 was a happy year for you? If you got sick last year, if you were hospitalized last year, if you lost a dear friend or relative or a job last year, how could 2022 have been a happy year to you? And why does the church gather people on the very first day to commemorate God's love through the Blessed Virgin Mary, Mother of God? Wouldn't the church find another reason to celebrate today? Wouldn't the church have a set of prayers today to pray for just a happy new year? Many of us have forgotten that today is the last day in the octave of Christmas. Christmas octave, the entire 8 days beginning on Christmas concludes today. But the conclusion of Christmas octave is rooted in Latin, means 8 days. The conclusion of 8 days after Christmas is the first day of the new year. And we pray nothing but to praise to Mary. Before I wanted to invite you to go deeper in the readings today, I would like to remind you a very, very interesting story. That on December 17 of the year 2018, when Pope Francis turns to 82, among many birthday gifts he received, there's a scratch of Nativity Christmas display, and the statue portrayed that Mary was sleeping and Joseph was holding the child Jesus. And the theme of that scratch is "Let Mom Rest." Very interesting. I think the gift giver knew that Pope Francis' favorite statue is the statue of Saint Joseph in his sleeping. As I share with you a number of times that Pope Francis told people that I have a very cute, nice statue of Saint Joseph sleeping. I put it on my desk. And when I get tired and need to go to sleep, I get a piece of paper and write down what I need to do and cannot find a solution yet. I put underneath of Joseph and say, "Now my turn to sleep, you take care of that." That story tells us the Pope has a very, very natural and close relationship with the saint and with God. That he could experience the presence of God and the saints in his life. And I invite you to practice that. The familiarity in our relationship with God. I'm sure all of you have a friend, at least a friend, with whom you can send any text message telling what you're doing, what you're feeling, and what you are going to do. I'm going to go to shopping, you want to come? I'm going to have a cup of coffee, you want to come? I'm going to stop by Diamond Plaza, you going to come? Are you going to go to church? And let's go shopping after church. You have someone that you feel that person is in your life. Could you ever experience that with God? The reading today invites us to live in a deeper relationship with God and to be real awareness of what God is in your life. Therefore, I intended not to wish you Happy New Year so that I can invite you to go into that greeting more spiritually. If you remember, Larry read the first reading to us. The reading was taken from the book of Numbers. And the encounter between the Lord and Moses happened over 13 centuries before Christmas. And the Lord said to Moses, "Go tell people what happy would be." We say Happy New Year, but what is happy? Here is how one should be happy. The one who lives in happiness is the one who is or could aware that God bless you and protect you. God shares with you His joy that shines on His face with you. God is on for you. And God will go and follow you. That is a person who could live in happiness. Now, if you like somebody through the social media, you follow that person so that every movement that person posted on the internet or social network, you could see, right? Many of you smiling. So now, ask yourself, how many public figures or fashionista you follow? But how many people follow you? Maybe no one, except your spouse, your children. Now today you should be happy because God follows you. Every and each movement of yours have been watched and protected by God. That is the real happiness. You have somebody who loves you, who shares the joy on his face with you, who always protects you as your own personal guard, who could give you everything he is and he has. Aren't you happy? What else would you ask more than that? So, Happy New Year means let the Lord bless this year. We come here at the very first hours of this day after we woke up because we need God to bless us. How would you and I experience God's blessing? The Lucan Gospel reveals to us the only way that you can receive and treasure the blessing of God is to meet Him. In your relationship, even though you like to receive messages, emails, letters, but you want more than just the word on the emails, you want to be with that person. That explains to me sometimes that I don't know why my parents and my younger sister and my nephew, they live in the US. They like to ask me, when will you come home? Even though we're very close in texting and sharing what's going on in our life, they want the real presence. Therefore, during the COVID quarantine, people complain when soon we can return to church. But the reality is after the church opens, many people would like to attend online mass. Because when you go to church, you cannot meet God. Like if you happen to go to a downtown walking street or downtown of this city, you see many people, but not at depth. Just hi, Happy New Year, hi, Happy New Year, and you don't even know how many people and whom did you meet. So the relationship is not just a hi and just a seeing, but to meet that person, to live with that person. The shepherds, Father David proclaimed the gospel to us. The shepherd went to see Mary, Joseph, and the child Jesus as the angels have informed them, and when upon their leaving the Holy Family, they filled up with joy. Those, after having met God, have to be a person of joy. Joy that can be shined on your face, on your life, and inspire others. The second reading, taken from Paul's letter to the Galatians, tells us that the joy, the utmost of joy that we receive from God is through Jesus, that we could call God Abba, Father. The one who shares what He has and who He is for us. So today, before I conclude my sharing my homily, I would like to remind you two advices. First, don't forget we are still on the last day of Christmas octave. Keep the joy of Christmas. Don't let the fireworks that last for 15 minutes inflate your joy. Continue to rejoice so that each time when you say Happy New Year, remember God bless your new year. Bring God into every single greetings you share with people. Without God, the formula Happy New Year means nothing. Because if you don't have God, how can you be happy? How can you share the happiness with others? The second advice, I have seen the image of the late Pope Benedict XVI on the social network this morning. And one image attracted me, published by Vatican News, with one of many spiritual advices he had. And that is, if you let the love of Christ transform you, change you, you can transform the world. That means you can do everything if you let God go into your life. So maybe next week when you come back, the statue of child Jesus will disappear. We go with the liturgical calendar, but don't ever live out of the sight of God. Keep God in front of you, inside of you. If every day of 2022, you and I wake up in the morning with God, let Him go with us through our work, our office, our business, our gathering, our meeting. And at night, when you return to sleep, have Him with us. I assure you, 2022 is a real year of happiness. Remember, without God, there is nothing lasts. But with God, love trumps everything.